Chapter 15. Against an 8-star magic beast. Boom. De, who had been sent flying by the huge monkey's punch, stood up and stomped on the ground before charging toward the huge monkey. When the huge monkey saw this, a trace of anger flashed across his eyes. He raised his fist and punched at De, who was charging toward him. De's fist and the giant ape's fist collided fiercely. A loud sound rang out as De was blasted several meters away like a cannonball, smashing heavily onto the ground. The giant ape howled complacently as it pounded its chest with its 4 hands. Then, it looked towards the cave entrance, where dust and dirt were flying in the air. A young man in a black robe walked out. At this moment, Xiaoyan's eyes were filled with helplessness. Just now, just as he was about to break through to the late 6-star realm, the huge ape roared furiously, causing his mind to stir. All his previous efforts had been for naught. Xiaoyan looked at the huge ape. The latter's eyes were filled with fury. Xiaoyan smiled bitterly. He was really unlucky. The cave he found seemed to be this ape's nest. When it saw a human enter its cave, the giant ape's eyes turned red. It roared and rushed over aggressively. Xiaoyan sighed. This giant ape's strength should be around that of an early 8-star fighting monarch. With his intermediate 6-star strength, it would be very difficult for him to defeat it. Xiaoyan's body flashed and nimbly dodged the furious attack of the giant ape. When the giant ape saw this, it couldn't help but become even angrier. It breathed heavily and rushed towards Xiaoyan once more. Damn it! It's just an early 8-star devil beast. I really thought it was invincible. Xiaoyan was also furious. He waved his right hand, and a 10-colored fire lotus flew out quietly. It transformed into a gorgeous flame and rushed towards the giant ape. The giant ape roared and threw a punch at the fire lotus. The fire lotus instantly exploded, and a cloud of smoke rose up. After the fire lotus struck, Xiaoyan's body retreated. With a thought, a fire dragon about 70 feet long appeared on his right hand. Flame dragon charge! Xiaoyan roared in a low voice. The fire dragon rushed into the smoke like a meteor. Bang! A loud sound was heard from the smoke. Obviously, it had hit the giant ape's body. Xiaoyan was delighted. He had just summoned the Xiaoyi when the giant ape ran out of the smoke with a furious roar. The giant ape's blood-red eyes were fixed on Xiaoyan, who was not far away. Its chest heaved up and down violently. At this moment, the giant ape's snow-white and thick fur was charred black. One of its arms was the most seriously injured. All the white fur on its arm had been burnt. Fresh blood dripped from the wounds on its exposed muscles. Seeing that the attack had worked, luckily, this guy's defensive ability wasn't too abnormal. It could injure it. There's a possibility of beating it. After fusing with the 9 profound golden thunder, the power of his glazed monarch flame was countless times stronger than before. If it wasn't for the fact that he had become a true fighting monarch, he would have been devoured by the glazed monarch flame long ago. Not to mention, when he thought of this, the circulation speed of the origin monarch ki in Xiaoyan's body increased a little, and the flame immediately became stronger. At this moment, the giant ape had already rushed over. It used both hands to protect its body, and clenched both of its hands into fists. It carried a huge force as it punched towards Xiaoyan. Although the giant ape had a huge body, its movement speed wasn't slow. In just a few breaths' time, it was already very close to Xiaoyan. Kai! Just as the big fist was about to land on Xiaoyan's body, a gorgeous firewall suddenly appeared in front of Xiaoyan. The powerful fist hit the wall of fire, causing it to tremble violently. Sensing that the force of the fist was being rapidly melted by the wall of fire, a trace of panic flashed across the giant ape's eyes. It roared and hurriedly took a few steps back, looking at the dissipating wall of fire in front of Xiaoyan with fear. Although Xiaoyan had succeeded in this punch, he was still forced back dozens of steps by the tremendous force. Feeling stifled in his chest, Xiaoyan forcefully suppressed the surging blood and ki in his body. He glanced at the giant ape. Xiaoyan directly threw a few ki recovery pills into his mouth. Then, he took out storage rings that he had not used for a long time from his storage ring. He tightly gripped the profound heavy rulers. Feeling a faint cold feeling from his hand, Xiaoyan let out a light sigh. The origin monarch ki in his body started circulating once again. When the giant ape saw this, it let out a low roar and pulled out a big tree that was thicker than Xiaoyan's waist. It waved its 4 hands quickly. A trace of ruthlessness flashed across Xiaoyan's eyes. When he saw the giant ape rushing towards him with the big tree in its hand, the profound heavy ruler in Xiaoyan's hand shook slightly and a raging flame instantly attached to it. When the huge tree smashed towards his head, Xiaoyan waved the profound heavy ruler and the huge tree in his hand, and struck them heavily. Sizzle sizzle. The profound heavy ruler hit the big tree and cut off half of the big tree, but the backlash from the profound heavy ruler forced Xiaoyan to take a few steps back. The power of the devil beast is really strong. Seeing that the giant ape only shook its body for a moment, a cold light flashed in Xiaoyan's eyes. He took the initiative to rush forward, and suddenly flew into the sky when he was halfway there. The giant ape was startled. It looked at the huge tree that covered the sky above and saw no trace of Xiaoyan. It couldn't help but roar. All of a sudden, the giant ape instinctively stretched out its left fist and punched. Before the fist could reach him, a pitch-black ruler landed on the spot where the huge monkey had been injured. After the successful strike, Xiaoyan's shoulders trembled. He used the heavenly phoenix wings to barely dodge the giant ape's furious punch. However, his left shoulder was also hit by the fierce punch of the giant ape. Xiaoyan's facial expression changed instantly. When he landed on the ground, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. He felt that his left shoulder seemed to be unconscious. Xiaoyan smiled bitterly in his heart. The fighting monarch was divided into 9 stars, and after 9 stars, the key would be condensed into Tao, and he would become a sovereign. Between the 9 stars of the fighting monarch, 1 to 3 stars would be the initial stage. From 4 to 6 stars would be the middle stage, and the later stage would be 7 to 9 stars. The battle between each star was relatively easy. However, it was somewhat difficult to cross the next stage of the battle. Only fighting monarchs that had advanced to the late stage were called true fighting monarchs in the Great Worlds. This was because a 7-star Do Di was sufficient to easily defeat 2 or 3 6-star Do emperors. The giant ape in front of him had the strength of an 8-star combat emperor. Just a punch from the fist brushed against his shoulder, causing his shoulder to lose consciousness. The strength between him and this giant ape was indeed much weaker. This battle would probably be quite troublesome. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.